Hello. I first of all want to say my gratitude for you bringing what you bring to us, because I've been screaming for years for help, and I appreciate it, and for Jerry and Esther for making it accessible. I've spent the last year trying to get more aligned and deliberately create what I want, and came across your teachings in August. And one of the things that I'd been told from Source to do is write books. And I've been putting it off, and I got to the point where I was going to do that, and then I read your books, and I'm like, well, it seems to me what you're saying is if I focus on what used to be, which was negative, I'll bring that back into my life.
You will reconstruct it. You will activate the pathways between where you stand now and that by giving your attention to it. You will.
And I don't want to.
Then don't do it.
Okay.
In other words, why would you do that?
To show the contrast between, well, what you show in your books, the contrast of creating what you don't want and changing your vibration to make it better.
So it feels necessary to amplify what was unwanted in order to make the point that in what was unwanted, what was wanted came about? Who are you writing the book for?
Well, whether it's a book about my life or it's fiction, you have to show contrast. And so
what about a book that shows triumph over contrast?
Well, that's the point of the book.
So just be clear about what you're doing and make sure that you emphasize the points you mean to emphasize. You see, it's an interesting thing. It's like, so let's say that you achieve vibrational alignment with who you are and you just feel wonderful. Mm-hmm. And now you say, I want to share this with the world.
Right.
But you look out and you realize nobody's where you are. Because you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and the people you want to help don't get you. They can't hear what you want, what you're saying, because you have achieved a vibration that they don't have access to. So there's a tendency to say, well, I think I'll talk about the trouble that they're living. So you talk about the trouble that they're living. Now your vibrational frequency is more where their vibrational frequency is. And now you can have a relevant conversation. But the question always is, am I uplifting them to something more? So you're just wanting to constantly keep the balance is all we're saying. Just make sure that you know where you are, because you cannot lead someone to where you aren't, you see.
Right. And I'm looking at changing my profession. I mean, writing isn't, at least not yet, a profession. And I'm in the same way looking at the things I've done, the things I like to do, working with energy. But like right now, I'm in vitamin supplements, which is not something I want to stay in, but it focuses on the negative.
Well, what we're feeling from you, and you can feel it too, and those who are listening in can, and everyone relates to this, is that you're at the point where you are more aware of what you don't want than what you do want, but somewhat aware of what you do want. And the energy just is not robust enough to give you the smooth ride that you might be asking for. So from our point of view, it's too soon to begin the action part of this, because the energy is not in alignment enough to carry you through. And a lot of times physical friends resist going through the physical experience of growing their vortex. They want to just jump right in. In other words, there are a lot of people that say, I'm ready to write a book. But if you're ready to write a book and the book is not just literally writing itself, you're not ready to write the book. And if you're not in the vortex, then the book is not writing itself.
Right.
And so that's sort of what you're talking about. In other words, you can feel that you have things to say, and you can feel that you've made observations. Even as we're visiting here today, the energy is in the process of moving into a place. There have been a few segments and just a few moments, we would say, of the 2 hours approximately that we've spent together. As a group, there have been about 10 minutes of the 2 hours where we were in such vibrational sync with one another that you knew what we meant by the words that we were offering. And the rest of the time, we were just feeling around for beginning points to begin moving the energy. In other words, everything we say, brilliant as we are, isn't resonating with everything that you know. In other words, we were feeling for those energy points. And you're always doing that, especially when you are writing books. You're feeling for the energy points. And we can feel from the power of the asking that we can feel from you that you want to write something that's uplifting and meaningful. And so our encouragement to you is to continue to make the statement that you are in the process of doing that. And when wild horses can't keep you from doing it, that's when you want to do it. And until then, keep reaching for the feeling of that. What you're reaching for, if you want to be a really effective author, you're reaching for a feeling of eagerness about a subject that wakes you up in the middle of the night and makes you wake somebody else up in order to tell them the idea that flowed to you. In other words, that's what it feels like. You don't write a book because the world needs it, and you don't write a book because your publisher has given you a deadline. Right. And you don't write a book because you have a contract. You write a book because there's something bubbling within you that has reached the place where you are able to articulate it with such precision that putting into words the knowing that's burning in your belly is something that you must do, and you must do now, you see. And when you reach that place, write. And otherwise, do anything that you can to get to that place, which for the most part means don't try to do. There is nothing that will kill the author in you like trying to write a book before you're in the vortex. There's nothing that will kill the creative juices in you. There's nothing that will destroy a business faster than trying to fix things that are broken. There's nothing that ruins a relationship more than getting into the nitty-gritty of what's troubling us. In other words, so many people are going about so many things from the wrong vibrational vantage point. You want to get into the vortex, and then the book writes itself. What you are is a willing, compliant, cooperative component to the energy and the book that is already amassed in your vortex, you see. Good time for a segment of refreshment.
Thank you.